Did that. I haven't done that. I haven't done that. I haven't done that. I haven't done that. Can't check that off yet. Still have to do that. I haven't done that. Can't check that off yet. Can't check that off yet. Can't check that off yet. I haven't done that. Did that. Can't check that off yet.
Hello again.
Were you in the house when Dr. Bollé passed away?
I was indeed. I was in the library cleaning when all of a sudden I heard a big thump. I hurried out to investigate, and sure enough, there was Dr. Bollé lying by the front door. And as I rushed over to him, the door opened and in walked Gilbert Buford. He took one look at Dr. Bollé and hollered at me to call 911. So I ran back into the library and did just that. When I came back out, Gilbert was leaning over Dr. Bollé, listening for breathing, I suppose, and then he started pushing up and down on his chest, but it was too late. Even I could tell that Dr. Bollé was gone.
How was it that Gilbert was able to just walk right in like that?
As you yourself discovered, people around here seldom lock their front doors during the day. But you know, in the back of my mind, I have always wondered about Gilbert Buford showing up at the door at that exact moment.
Did Dr. Bollé ever say anything to you about a crystal skull? He may have referred to it as the Whisperer.
No, he never so much as mentioned a crystal skull, whispering or otherwise.
I understand that Dr. Bollé had some interesting pets, like an iguana.
That man never met a creature he didn't like. He'd train them to do all kinds of silly tricks, then let them run free, inside the house as well as out.
Do you know how he went about training them?
I surely do not. Don't get me wrong. I liked Dr. Bollé, I truly did. But I swear, sometimes his activities made as much sense to me as bathing in a bayou full of gators.
That shovel over there with the interesting handle, do you think I could borrow it?
Dr. Bollé took great interest in that shovel. Don't know why. He never used it. Just like to see it hanging there. Me, I use it to dig up roots.
I could dig you up some roots.
Right now I need mushrooms. I was hoping to get 'em picked tonight, but from the looks of all this potting I still have to do,
what do you need mushrooms for?
dried and crushed, they comprise the main ingredients in one of my tonics. Tell you what, I need 5 painted conchs. They're mushrooms that have got a short, fat stem and a large bell-shaped cap covered with big red dots. You might find 1 or 2 here in the garden, but you'll have better luck in the boggy part of the cemetery. You get me 5, no more, no less, and I'll let you borrow that shovel.
Deal.
You can put 'em in this bag. How else may I be of service to you?
Nice talking to you.
Fare thee well.
This has got to be a painted conch. Another painted conch. Yes! I haven't done that. Check. Can't check that off yet. Still have to do that.
Did you pick me those mushrooms yet?
Sure did.
Well, bless your heart, you did it.
Actually, picking the one growing on the log sticking out of the swamp was a little hairy.
Oh, my. I forgot to warn you about Bernie, didn't I?
If by Bernie you mean the alligator that almost had me for dinner, yeah, you did.
He's another one of Dr. Beaulay's pets. He'd kick that log to get Bernie's attention, then feed him marshmallows. Problem is, now that gator leaps up and snaps every time someone so much as touches that log. I should have said something, but I've gotten so used to Bernie, I just plain forgot. Anyway, feel free to help yourself to that shovel. You earned it.
Nice talking to you.
Come see me anytime.
Check. All done. Well done. That looks like the right name. That doesn't make sense. That's gotta be it. That looks like the right name. There, I am no dummy. That looks like the right name. Let's hope Neil is lying down by now. Bingo. Smells right to me. Hopefully this will givens me a clue. I haven't done that. Can't check that off yet. Still have to do that. Check. Still have to do that. Still have to do that.
Yes?
Do you by any chance know the name of Bruno's dog?
He had a dog? That's news to me. In other words, no, I sure don't.
Do you think I could borrow your keychain? The one that has Bruno's glass eye on it?
You want to borrow it? What for?
Actually, all I really want is the eye. I mean, it's just so cool.
What if you break it?
If it's on a chain, it can't be that fragile.
I don't think I want to take that chance. Sorry.
The box of your great-uncle's things that you sold to Zeke's curio shop, that was a no-no, wasn't it?
What box of things? I don't know what you're talking about.
The guy who owns the shop said you sold him a box of assorted items. I'm assuming they used to be Bruno's.
Well, somebody screwed up somewhere because I haven't sold anything to anybody. Why would I sell one lousy box of stuff when I'm about to inherit a whole house full of stuff? Get real.
You sold it because you needed some quick cash in order to keep Summer happy, didn't you?
How do you know about her?
Playing detective is actually a lot more than a hobby with me. I could make a lot of trouble for you, Henry, but if you come clean, tell me about Summer.
She's this girl I'm in love with. I think she loves me back, but she's so unpredictable it drives me nuts.
You argue a lot?
All the time, mostly over how schizoid she is. I mean, I never know what's gonna make her happy. Like, just before I left, I took practically every bit of cash I had and bought her a bunch of CDs. You know, to keep her occupied while I was gone, right? Well, soon as I get here, she calls and says her sound system just went bluey and I had to buy her a new one because what good were the CDs I bought her if she couldn't play them? So then I
So then you threw a bunch of Bruno's things into a box and sold it to that curio shop.
Yeah. I wired her the money, but then she called and said she also needed new headphones. Next call, it was new speakers. And now she expects me to buy her a flat-screen TV. When I try to talk to her about always wanting more like that, she gets really mad. But I'm afraid if I don't give her what she wants, I'm afraid she'll dump me. And I couldn't take that. I mean, she's the only girlfriend I've ever had. Ever will have, probably. Look, you don't need to go telling Renee or any of those lawyers about selling that stuff, right?
I can't just ignore what you did, Henry.
I know. You still want the glass eye? Take it. Go ahead. It's all yours. You want something, I want something. Take it and we're even, okay?
Well, it's not like you sold off half the estate or anything.
$300. That's all I've gotten out of his estate. I swear. Go on, take it. I was naughty, but from now on I'll be nice, I promise.
Do you know anything about the crystal skull that was in that box of junk you sold to Zeke's?
There wasn't any crystal skull in that box.
Are you sure? It would have been inside another box.
Well, I did throw in some smaller boxes. Like I said, I was just grabbing stuff. Was it valuable?
All I really know for sure right now is that it's missing.
Great. Be just my luck to have sold something that wasn't junk to that glorified trash collector.
I'll check back with you later.
Whatever.
Still have to do that. Can't check that off yet. Can't check that off yet. All done. A librarian's tale. Something Bruno Bollet wrote in that Tired Eyes book mentioned the librarian's eye. Here we go. A librarian's tale. I haven't done that. All done.
Yes, hello?
Hi, my name's Nancy Drew. Is this Professor Hotchkiss?
I am she, Nancy Drew. Your name has a ring to it. Do I know you?
Yes, as a matter of fact, we met a little while back in Wisconsin.
Oh, yes, you were the delightful young lady doling out the samples in the tasting room of that cheese factory. Yum, yum.
No, I met you at Wickford Castle.
That's ridiculous. There was no cheese tasting room at Wickford Castle.
No, we were both guests there. I found a journal written by Marie Antoinette which you translated. Remember?
Thanks to you, suddenly all I can think about is how wonderful a nice big slab of Colby cheese would taste right now. Listen, Mandy, I'm on a deadline, so if you could please just tell me why you called.
But my name isn't...
Deadline! Let's cut to the chase, shall we? Chop, chop.
Did a man from New Orleans named Bruno Bollet ever call you?
Ah, now there's a name you can remember. Bollet. Nice and French. I'm a scholar of French history, you know.
Yes, I know. So did Bruno Bollet call you?
Indeed he did. Oui, oui.
Why did he call, if you don't mind my asking?
Because he had read my book, of course. The Crystal Skulls. Fact or fable, one of my best efforts. Sold like hotcakes, smothered in a rich, tangy lemon sauce.
Did he say anything about owning one of the skulls himself?
I would have hung up on him straight away if he had. I tell you, Brandy, if I had $1 for every crackpot who's called claiming to own one of those skulls, I'd be able to dine at the Russian tea room every evening for the rest of my life. All right, that's a bit of hyperbole, but you get the picture. No. If memory serves, we talked mostly about the skull called the Whisperer. He wanted to know if I had learned any more about it since my book was published, which I hadn't, or if I had any theory as to what happened to it, which I didn't.
And that was the extent of your conversation?
Well, now, let me think. My, such insatiable curiosity, Nellie. You remind me of someone I encountered on one of my journeys. But for the life of me, I cannot remember her name or the circumstances.
Nancy Drew? Wickford Castle?
Ah! The eyes have it.
I'm sorry?
That's what Bruno Bollet said when I turned the tables and asked him if he had any idea where the Whisperer was. He said, the eyes have it. Then he chuckled and hung up.
How much would a crystal skull like the Whisperer be worth?
In this crazy day and age, where the shorn hair and used tissues of celebrities get sold for thousands of dollars, there's absolutely no telling, Candy. $500,000 easily. Maybe even $1 million. Maybe 2. Maybe 10. The sky's the limit. Cha-ching, cha-ching.
If someone found a skull made of crystal, how could they be sure it's one of the crystal skulls?
Wonderful question, Francie. How indeed? Because there are sure to be thousands of fakes out there. Perhaps tens of thousands. But remember, the real skulls were made long before the tools commonly used for carving today were invented. Which means, let's put on our thinking caps.
Modern-day tools would have left marks if the skull was a fake?
Exactly so. Mind you, the marks on a good fake would be microscopic and thus imperceptible to the human eye. However, any thorough laboratory analysis would quickly unmask a counterfeit.
So the only way to prove that a skull is the real deal is by proving it's not a fake?
And by examining its provenance, its history of ownership. If it can be shown that a particular specimen has been passed along from antiquity into modern times and didn't just suddenly appear in, say, Germany in the mid-19th century, that would tend to support its authenticity as well.
The idea that the Whisperer can make its owner immortal, do you believe that?
I believe that things that defy any so-called rational explanations happen all the time, Nessie. Now, does that mean there are mysterious external forces at work in the universe of which we do not and cannot ever have full knowledge? Or does it all boil down to us? If the human heart desperately wants something to be true, does the human mind have the power to make it true? Who knows? Oh, questions, questions, questions. Oh, how dreary life would be without them.
Do you know of any relationship between the Whisperer and a crew in New Orleans called the Jolly Rogers?
A crew named after the skull and crossbones flag flown by European and American pirates? How so very colorful! Yo-ho-ho! Why do you ask?
The man who called you about the Whisperer, Bruno Bollet, he was a member of the Jolly Rogers. I just thought maybe one had something to do with the other.
Had the Whisperer fallen into the hands of pirates, I promise you my research would have turned up that fact. But it didn't. Therefore, no relationship. Coincidence strikes again.
In your book, you said that all the people who've ever owned the Whisperer were murdered, yet Bruno Bollet dropped dead of a heart attack.
Are you saying the Whisperer was in his possession after all? The scallywag! Why didn't he tell me that? Oh, that's right, I would have hung up on him. Well, if that's the case, then I strongly suggest you take a close look at his so-called heart attack, Sandy. Because if he owned the skull and he died, I guarantee you it was at the hands of someone else. Or my name's not Beatrice Gertrude Winifred Hotchkiss.
Thanks for your help.
Toodaloo!
Hi, Nancy.
Hey, Ned.
What's going on?
Are you familiar with the legend of the so-called crystal skulls?
Is that where aliens supposedly scattered a bunch of perfectly formed crystal skulls all around the world like thousands of years ago? And all the skulls have different magical powers?
Something like that, yeah. Apparently Henry's uncle was the proud owner of the Whisperer, the skull that was supposed to make whoever owned it live forever.
Only now he's dead and another superstition bites the dust.
Maybe, maybe not. See, this book I found in Bruno's library said no one who has owned the Whisperer has ever died of natural causes.
So how did they die?
They were all murdered.
Come on, you don't believe that crystal skull stuff is true, do you?
I'm not sure what I believe yet. But right now, what I think doesn't matter. The people who knew Bruno had the skull, if one of them believed in the Whisperer's power, they may have figured the only way they'd ever be rid of Bruno was to cause his death.
But didn't he die of a stroke or something?
Heart attack.
Well, there you go. Natural causes.
Heart attacks can be induced.
You've been watching too many of those forensic detective shows.
That may be, but what's really interesting is the skull is missing.
That is interesting.
And I'll bet you anything that's what my bony friend in the red ascot was looking for.
Does Henry know where the skull is?
He doesn't know anything about it. At least that's what he says. But if that skull is still around here, I intend to find it.
I kind of figured that.
Henry confessed that he sold off some of Bruno's things because he needed money to keep his girlfriend Summer happy.
She's high maintenance, huh?
Extremely. You're so lucky.
Hey, don't I know it. Think he sold off the crystal skull?
I don't think so, no. He acts like he's never heard of the crystal skull.
And so the search goes on.
While I was picking mushrooms for Renee, I almost lost my hand to one of Bruno's pets.
You have a big dog or something?
A big alligator named Bernie.
How can you make a pet out of an alligator?
Apparently by exploiting their fondness for marshmallows.
Well, stay away from him. I like your hands just the way they are.
I can't quite figure out whether Renee neglected to tell me about him by accident or on purpose.
Hey, if you're not sure, you'd better stay away from her, too.
Think you could give me a hint?
You bet.
I can't figure out what the deal is with those books in the library that I can pull down but not out. Any thoughts?
If you look at those books as rows of teeth, with the bottom 2 rows being baby teeth and the top 2 rows being adult teeth, the story Bruno Bollet wrote about Quincy T. Booker's teeth will tell you which books to pull down and in what order.
Are you sure?
Positive. Just remember, dentists refer to teeth according to the patient's perspective, not theirs.
That's important?
Very.
Great, I really appreciate it.
You need anything else? Just call.
Still have to do that. Check.
Hello again.
Did Dr. Bollet by any chance ever mention the name of his dog to you?
Well, now, seems to me he did say he had a dog once, way back when he was a young'un. But when it comes to its name, I'm afraid I'm no help at all.
Nice talking to you.
Thanks for coming by.
Hello?
Hi, Bess, it's me.
So what's been happening? Tell me everything.
Well, let's see. Since the last time we talked, I was just about getting ready to...
Interesting stuff.
But the reason I called is, I need you to talk to this doctor named Gilbert Buford, who, as it turns out, likes to hang out at a gumbo stand called Granny Pumpkin's Cajun Cookin'.
which should be right across from our hotel.
You just want me to talk to him? That's it? Nothing nefarious? No black ops stuff?
He was Bruno Bellay's doctor, and apparently his best friend, too. I just need for you to see if he thinks there was anything weird about the way Bruno died.
What do you mean by weird?
I mean, I kind of think maybe Bruno was murdered.
Murdered? By whom?
That's what I'm trying to figure out. Everyone's a suspect at this point.
Including this Gilbert Buford guy?
Well...
Great, I'm gonna be chatting up Jack the Ripper.
Oh, I'm sure the guy's fine, but be subtle, just in case.
Well, I can see the gumbo stand from our balcony. If he's the guy that's sitting down there, I guess he looks harmless. Okay, I'll go talk to him.
Thanks, Bess. Let me know what happens.
Cheerio. Done.